So there's a few things I would like to clarify before I get into the review of Kimetsu no Yaiba, and that is the fact that this video is going to be kind of split into two different parts. For instance, the first half of this video is going to be me reviewing episode 17 of Kimetsu no Yaiba, and then the second half of the video is going to be me reviewing episode 18 of Kimetsu no Yaiba that came out today. So, I just want to clarify if you're wondering, like, why I'm talking about events from last week, and then why I'm talking about events today later on in the second half of the video. Now, obviously, if you don't care about my, let's say, review for last week's episode, I will have a timestamp somewhere down in the description for you to just skip the first half of this video and go straight to the newest episode, discussion, with me talking about the newest content. Now, with that out of the way, there's another thing I need to clarify. Another thing is that I have yet to personally, at the time of me sitting down recording this, I have yet to watch episode 18 of Kimetsu no Yaiba. Now, you're probably wondering, wait a minute, so how is there already an episode 18 review attached to this video? Well, obviously, I'm in the past, and this is before I watched the episode, and the reason why I'm doing this like this is because I want to be able to review episode 17 without having anything from episode 18 conflict with my opinion of episode 17. So I just want to have a full-on, like, unadulterated just discussion on 17 in the first half, and discuss, Zenitsu and how crazy, he was in the episode. I want to kind of have a full-on discussion about it without, like I said, anything from episode 18 kind of taking away from episode 17. So, okay, with that, let us begin on episode 17. So, Zenitsu, Zen, he absolutely impressed me with his straight-up quality as an individual. What he did against the demon he was fighting, oh man, like, easily the best episode. Like, I haven't seen episode 18, obviously, but for now, this is the best episode of Kimetsu no Yaiba. 17 really shows just how great Zen is as a character. It gives him much needed backstory that we've been craving, what we've needed for his character for a long time. It doesn't give us any clarification to what the other side of him is, obviously, but at the very least, we get to see kind of what drives him, why he is still there, why he is still a demon slayer despite everything, all of his personality traits we have seen, why it seems like he would not be there in the first place, and why he's still there in the first place. So I love this episode. I love episode 17 for the sheer fact of how much quality time we get with Zen as a character, and really get to just see, because it kind of expands upon what happened many episodes ago when we got to see the other side of Zen. This expands upon it, because we now get to see a little bit more of his power, how it kind of works, but also how he is as an individual. So anyways, Zen, he shows off his incredible fighting style, and it obviously does have some weaknesses, which we clearly get to see within episode 17. He basically is the master of one style. If we look at, let's say, someone like Tanjiro, he's someone that has multiple forms. Water forms he's able to use when he's using his techniques to go up against a demon. But when you look at someone like Zen, he only has the first form, and that's the only thing he's actually able to use. And because of that, that makes it to where he doesn't have a lot of variety. For instance, if a demon knows what he's going to do, like if they understand the fundamentals of the technique, then, they're going to be able to counter Zen pretty quickly. So, for instance, example, let's say Zen's first form was just a straight slash. Like, he charges his enemy, he pulls out his blade, and he slashes, and he puts his sword back and all that, okay? Like a simple move like that. If the enemy knows that's what the first form is, and they can kind of work around that, then obviously Zen will not stand a chance, regardless of how strong his unconscious form is. So that is a very crucial weakness. However, that is something that really plays well with Zen as a character, but also gives him some limitations that he does need, especially with just how strong he clearly is as an individual. I mean, when you look at, let's say, someone like, Tanjiro, and when you look at someone like, Zen now, you can just see that when it comes to, like, them, or just the trio in general, Zen is obviously the strongest, when he's unconscious, obviously. It does take a lot of different, situation to really put him in that state, but when he's actually unconscious, he really can do some devastation to any form of demon, and probably put up a really decent fight. You could clearly see in this episode. So, Zen, I think what's crazy about it is that because he only knows one form of sword technique, that means that he has to be able to master it. He has to be able to literally master this technique to the point to where no one really can fight against it. The greatest weakness, though, besides if someone knows what the technique is that if you could stop him from even performing the technique, which that was something that the demon was able to pick up on. And we got to look at the facts here. When it comes to the grand scheme of things, most likely that spider demon that Zen was fighting within this episode isn't definitely like in-game level. Definitely like on the lower tier spectrum of probably demons that we're going to encounter throughout the series. So when you really take a moment to think about it, if a lower tier demon can actually see the weakness of Zen's form that quickly, then that means that when Zen starts going up against higher tier enemies, higher tier demons, or even, Muzan, he is not going to stand a chance, because if it takes a lower tier demon, he could just stop Zen from kind of doing that form, that technique, then there's just nothing that you're going to be able to do against higher level opponents, especially if a higher level opponent has insane speed, because that was definitely something I noticed about Zen within this episode that really was, they were going really far out of their way to, depict and show that if there's one thing that Zen definitely has, it is that he has no flaws in his movement, and he is very quick, which is something I noticed when we first saw his ability. When we first saw him attack the demon when he went unconscious, he was so quick about how he took out the demon that there was really no hesitation, there was no wasted movement. It was in an instant the demon was down. And it was a really cool effect. But when you watch this episode, you could clearly see once again that is another theme with Zen's technique, is that when he's moving around, even when he's trying to get in the position of his first form, there is no wasted movement of him trying to do that. When he's zooming around, dodging like the spider heads and all that, and you see him getting into position to use his first form again, and he starts his breathing technique, you can see throughout the entirety of that fight, there is nothing wasted. There's no sitting around, nothing. He's trying to attack the enemy, especially when he goes in the air as well to line up and attack the enemy, and you see like the lightning flash and all that. There was no wasted time in that. So Zen's technique, once again, we're getting to see an extension of it, is that the only way he's going to be able to perfect his technique is by being able to outsmart his opponent, but also have insane speed to go for an opening when the opponent drops their guard, which is a big thing about Zen's technique too, is that because of Zen only using one technique, and if a demon is able to pick up on that technique and realize that he only has one form, a smarter level demon will have a few issues that lower tier demons will not have. And that is the fact that many demons encountering someone like Zen will be like, there's just no way a demon slayer would have only one technique. There's just no way. So there has to be a reason why this demon slayer is using only one technique. There has to be a reason. He's definitely trying to make me drop my guard thinking that he only has one technique, and when I think he doesn't, or he only has one technique, he's going to attack me with a newer technique. So you have it to where demons, higher level demons, are going to be kind of weary of Zen if he only uses one movement, especially with how quick he is. So there is definitely a lot of ways that Zen could play around with this theme and get a lot stronger and play mind games on his opponent. He has a really unique tool set, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of his fights in the future, because I want to be honest here, even though I haven't seen episode 18, I really doubt that Zen is in any mortal danger to where he's going to die, because at this point, as I've already talked about in my past episode reviews, without Zen and without, our favorite boar boy, I don't think this series would be the same, because they really just make up the main character all in one. Like, Tanjiro is a great character, don't get me wrong, but the other two that's been added to the cast, they definitely just add a whole new level of enjoyability to this series, where you're like, man, I love this story, I love this series. So I truly doubt that they would get rid of Zen, like the writer would get rid of Zen like this. So I just feel like there's nothing to worry about. He's going to be A-okay, but he might be out of commission for the remainder of this arc because of just the poison and how it's spreading. So, let's talk about how he actually, his backstory, I guess, how he got there in the first place. His backstory is very emotional. It really goes to show that Zen, as an individual, he got very lucky. He got very lucky encountering an individual that is truly just such a great teacher. And the teacher he called Gramps. He got very comfortable with this individual. He's like, my Gramps and all that. And you can see throughout the entire backstory is that the old man never gave up on Zen. He was always there for Zen, helping him out, holding his hand, and constantly encouraging him. And every time Zen wanted to run away, the old man would stop him and drag him back. Give him a few, beatings and was like, come back in here and all that. And it shows that the relationship was something that was very special. It's something that Zen has never really encountered, because you can see throughout Zen's entire monologue that he's always been abandoned. He never really had anyone. Everybody gave up on him. His parents weren't there. Nobody was there for him. He never really had anyone. And so, all these experiences that he's gotten recently since becoming a Demon Slayer is relatively new. He's never really had anyone kind of depend on him. And that kind of makes the last episode, episode 16, even more vital when you realize why he was so upset with, Tanjiro, and why he was left behind was because he's like, did they really leave me behind? Because it probably made him remember being abandoned by everyone else in his life. So, seeing like what he considered his friends just abandoning him and leaving him there made him very upset. So it makes that moment even more true or more emotional when you see why he rushed into the forest, because he was afraid of being abandoned. But we see that the Gramps never abandoned him, and he was always there, and that's kind of why he didn't want to disappoint him, because it was the only person at that point in his life that truly ever believed in him and helped him out to be where he's at, and thought that he was destined for greatness. So, I just think that, overall, Zen's backstory to his characterization to his fight was breathtaking, and I want more of it. Like I said, easily one of my favorite characters of the story. I think he is my favorite character, and I really do hope that one day Zen is going to be able to actually disconnect from the unconscious state and fight without being unconscious with his mastery of the sword, but that most likely is his gimmick, and it's going to stick around for a very long time, so I doubt we're going to ever get to see Zen fight without that. Another thing that really adds on to Zenitsu's character is his backstory with how his hair actually used to be a different color. It's kind of amazing, really, when you think about it, that Zen is the ultimate coward. When you look at him in the series, he's terrified, he's scared of everything, and he gets shocked by lightning, and most people, when you get shocked by lightning, you would think that you're one of the luckiest individuals in the world, because if you get shocked by lightning, usually you're dead. But he survived, and the only thing that he really has to show for it that changed him was his hair color, and he thinks he's very unlucky, but in reality, he's probably the luckiest individual to have just something so minor happen to him because he barely got hurt. And it's just cool to see that, just how he became one with lightning in that moment, and you could consider that it was just the start of everything to where he truly was a lucky individual. And another thing, too, is seeing his apparent, I'm assuming, senpai actually making fun of him, putting him down. And I wonder if this character, we're going to find out who it is in the near future, because we didn't get to see the character's face at all. So I do look forward to seeing who this individual is, because I do believe it's going to be very important in due time. So now, let's get into episode 18. This was just such a middle finger of a cliffhanger. Are you kidding me? Like, are you legitimately kidding me? Like, of all episodes, like, that gets me. That really angers me. Like, it's a good thing. Cliffhangers are supposed to do that, but like, are you kidding me? I just watched and finished this episode of Kimetsu no Yaiba, episode 18, and I just like, this cliffhanger is mean. It's malicious. It's a really malicious cliffhanger, because throughout the episode, we are shown the two individual Demon Slayers, the higher-up Demon Slayers, coming in and saving the day for someone like Inosuke or someone like Zenitsu. And when we see that happen, we're like, okay, this is good. But then, our MC, Tanjiro, he's in a fight, a major fight, and as soon as he goes in for that final slash, his blade snaps, and you're like, wait, what? And then it just, like, goes right for his face, and you're like, that's going to cut him straight in half. And then the episode ends, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Like, are you really doing that to me right now? Like, that is so mean. That is a really, really mean cliffhanger for Kimetsu no Yaiba. But okay, okay. Let's think about how Tanjiro could be fine, okay? What I could see going on here is that Tanjiro might be A-okay because the sister. When you think about the events within this episode of Kimetsu no Yaiba, you have it to where when Tanjiro confronts the brother and sister having their argument, we don't really know what it's about. I'm assuming the argument's about that the sister left the father to fight Inosuke. I'm assuming that's what it's about, but it could be something else entirely. But the point is that they were having a dispute. And when you see Tanjiro admit that their family is a lie, like for instance their bond is forged or whatever, he's he's trash talking them. He's trash talking the brother and all that, how he's treating his sister. You see to where the sister, her eyes get in shock, like she's just shocked that the words she's been waiting to hear came from someone like Tanjiro, a demon slayer, her mortal enemy. And you can see how she sits in the background throughout the fight just watching. And so my personal opinion, I could definitely see maybe the sister stepping in and protecting Tanjiro. That's my headcanon right now. That's what I think is going to happen, because obviously the two other demon slayers, they're like no position right now. Like they're not in a position to help Tanjiro out. So the only thing that you could really speculate now is that's the only thing that can happen. Either the sister pops up and helps, or Nezuko pops out and helps him. It's one or the other that's going to happen. We'll see. So yeah, that's quite the cliffhanger. But okay, let's talk about the reveals. One of the biggest things that got me while watching episode 18 was that the character we met in episode 1, the Demon Slayer that kind of set Tanjiro off on his journey. I don't know if it was revealed before or not, but if it was, forgive me, I forgot. But we get to see the Demon Slayer fight, and he uses the water breathing technique. And just FYI, from everything that we have known so far, or what we've got from this story, is that the only way to learn the water breathing technique is by learning underneath the sensei that taught Tanjiro. And if that is the case, that means that that dude is literally like the senpai of Tanjiro, which is pretty cool. And so I wonder if Tanjiro is going to notice that. He's going to find out in this little area he's in right now, and he's going to be able to talk to the man and all that, and just say like, is there any like ways I can improve upon my techniques or something? I could definitely see that, because clearly, you know, just seeing that one moment where he just annihilates that demon that was like the father, like nothing, shows what Tanjiro is definitely capable of if given enough time. And he's given enough time to train and get stronger. Which, by the way, speaking of which, I do like how this episode was kind of focused on Inosuke. And it's kind of like the opposite of last week's episode, but similar. Because last week's episode was on Zenitsu, his development, his backstory, everything. And this episode was focused on Inosuke, mostly. It was focused on his conflict, what he was going through, and kind of just him not giving up, him remaining who he is. And it's a really emotional episode, honestly. Like, I got really emotional while watching this episode, even more so than Zenitsu. And I know I just said it earlier, like an hour ago in my episode 17 review, or the first half of this video, but I'm gonna say it now. This is my favorite episode now, the best episode. Like, that Inosuke moment when he just, like, looked at the demon in defeat. Like, you just see the subtle movements, how he lowers his arms down, and he's like, I'm going to die. And it just, the atmosphere, the emotion in that, the way he looked, it was just so shocking, because it was something that we have not seen from his character at all. When you look at Inosuke as a character, to this very point, like to this very moment, he's a character that we would never think would say those words, would never say, I give up, or I'm going to die, etc. And it's shocking. And so as soon as he says those words, literally, my heart sunk right down. I was like, oh my god, he's going to die. He's going to die. He's going to... I literally had that feeling in that moment he was going to die. And when you saw how, like, when that happened, I thought, you know, the Demon Slayer, the one that set Tanjiro off on his journey, was gonna pop up. He didn't pop up. I'm like, oh my god, like, he's not popping up. Why are you not popping up? And you see how his head is literally just getting, like, crunched. I'm like, oh, and it was so bad. It was literally a really, really depressing moment. I'm like, this man is getting destroyed. Even when he cheers himself back up to fight, he's like, no, I won't give up and all that. I will fight and all that. I won't die until Tanjiro returns. I'm like, oh my god. Like, just the emotion in that moment. I really have to say that Studio Photable, they really went in. They went in on this episode for Inosuke, really showing off how he is as a person, even when he's at his lowest, and then building himself back up again. There's just so many great things within this episode for his character. I'm just blown away. Which, by the way, I want to talk about the brief little flashback we got, which is pretty stunning, and it adds a lot of mystery to the character, Inosuke. He has a flashback to where he sees this woman, which I'm assuming is his mother, holding him as a child, and it's like, if there's one thing I at least want to do, I want to save you. At first, you could kind of assume maybe she's abandoning him, but that wasn't the case. She has blood all over her, and she's like, I want to save you, and then she, like, drops him. And which, you could assume in that moment she probably died. And so, whatever happened from then on, his family's technically gone. We just don't know. I'm assuming that his family probably was eradicated by some form of demons, and he's going to find out later on down the road, which is kind of sad, really, but him having that clarity in that moment of kind of that he was always loved, someone was looking out for him, and he wouldn't be there if it wasn't for these individuals, it was emotional. And so, I gotta say that, Inosuke, man, I'm loving these characters. Like, I'm really loving all these characters that the writer's been introducing. Like, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Tanjiro's already a great character, but just seeing these individuals, like, oh my god, there's just such a good cast that really fits so well with the story. I love seeing them week after week in each individual episode. Which, another thing I do want to talk about, though, is the Inosuke, just how he was so injured and he kept pressing forward. It's pretty stunning, honestly. He took a lot of hits. Like, he took a lot of damage. No meme intended. He just took a lot of damage, and he was in a lot of pain. I'm surprised he was able to even fight back like he did, because when you really think about it, he was even more injured, I would say, than Tanjiro was, because Tanjiro, he had some broken ribs, and he was struggling. And when you look at just the situation that Inosuke was in, he was in a really bad state. He was already beat up badly before the battle even began with the Father Demon, but then, as the fight continued, he kept taking blow after blow, hit after hit. It was just bad. And so I'm surprised. Like, I'm really surprised that he even survived. And I don't think that he's just going to be able to get up and walk around after that. Like, he's probably going to be completely out of commission for a good long while. Like, as long as probably Zenitsu. Which, by the way, I want to talk about him. So we get some clarity to that fight with Zenitsu and kind of what happened to him. So you can see at the beginning of the episode, he is starting to shrink down to where his body is morphing into a spider, and it kind of concerns me a little bit, because even though that woman did pop up to kind of save him, there could still be irreversible damage to Zenitsu's body. Like, he might have some irreversible damage to the point to where he might not be able to function forever. Which I'm kind of scared about, because if there's one thing that this series has kind of shown us already, is that when it comes to injuries, they do stick around. They're not something that just disappears, because with Tanjiro's fight in the previous arc, we saw to where the wounds he got in the other arc before carried on. His ribs are broken, he didn't have time to recover, and so he had to fight while injured, and I feel like those type of wounds that Zenitsu got is not something that you can just easily heal, especially morphing into a spider of all things. So there's a lot of things I wonder about. I'm worried that the man is going to be out of commission for a lot longer than just this arc, maybe arcs ahead, because I would hate that, because we already started to get to see more of his backstory, his character. I would hate if he's just gone for good. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.